Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. Let's jump into roll call. Dr. Kathleen Barlow?
Here.
Joey Bryant?
Here.
Dr. Serafini?
Here.
Trey Justin? Dr. Martin Kennedy?
Here.
Brittany Kinsella? Lacey Lampkins?
Here.
Elena Lenoy? Jacqueline Robinson?
Here.
Patrick Stanton?
Present.
Spencer Sutton? Tom Votron?
Present.
Luke Aguilar?
Here.
Benay Skiles?
Here.
Brittany Stamnus?
Here.
Perfect. Moving into the approval of this week's agenda, if you can take a minute to review that. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Jacqueline moves. Is there a second? Trey seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to section 4, approval of last week's minutes. If you could take a minute to review that.
Maybe take more than a minute since Vinay wasn't here and I had to write the minutes.
Joey wrote them.
I apologize in advance. I think that's right.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve last week's minutes. Trey moves. Is there a second? Jacqueline seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? A few abstentions. Motion passes. Moving on to section 5 reports. The one report that I have for you guys is the memorandum that we are editing to send to the Board of Trustees will be completely reviewed by next week so that we can approve the memorandum and move it on.
Well, the only thing I have is just as a reminder, we will not be meeting the week of Source as the building will be taken over by Source. We will meet next week, then we'll have a week off, we'll have one more business week, and then our last meeting of the year is going to be the 31st, which is our end of the year. We'll have a dinner for those who have not been on the committee before. So if anyone has any suggestions, I'll be soliciting them and probably ask Vinay to send out an email to get feedback on where anyone would like or if there's any sort of dietary restrictions, because we'll need to make a reservation soon. Just for a point of the information, the committee will get your dinner paid for. If you bring any guests, which you're welcome to, let us know, but they'll have to pay for their own meals. Alcoholic drinks will not be paid for those who are of age.
So we have a balance of $41,626 left for the year.
Perfect. Thank you. Any further reports?
No?
All right. Moving on to section 6, public comment first call. Is there any public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving on to old business, voting on supplemental funding request 1727, the Pride Week headliner in the amount of $15,000. The table is open for discussion.
So we're only really to discuss the merits of this request, but looking up there, it seems obvious that if we have 41 approved, budgeted, looks like there's 48 in requests, so I think that, not that that should impact any one of these individual requests, but it's something to keep in mind.
Very true.
I feel like previously we've had forms that are a little less expensive. I feel like this one's probably about 3,000 more than last year.
Just about. If I remember correctly from last year, with what we had on there.
I think we've also had some that were more expensive too. Right?
What was that?
I think we've also had some that were more expensive, so.
and again, not that my opinion goes either way. I think the pricing depends on what and again, because we're looking at celebrity headliners, what it is they're coming in for. If you're getting someone in who's coming in simply to talk, if you're getting someone in who's a performer, all of those vary drastically.
Who is the headliner? Just I was asking.
Mary Lambert.
She's on one map or something.
So is somebody here in the gallery?
Yeah, that group.
Can you tell us who where some of the other funding comes from for the whole 5 week?
Yeah, so we have around $7,000 of funding from the ESC. And we requested funding from clubs, from Senate clubs, around 700, 1,200. Yeah, we have a foundation account with around 200 in it. The Equal account has 500 in it that we're using. We're also requesting lots of in-kind donations from the Wildcat Shop, from dining services, from catering, from the president's office. So we've passed the hat around.
That's a big range. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
Okay, one more question, if that's okay. And where is Mary Lambert? Is
Is she
In New York or something?
Yeah, she's in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, she's on the East Coast right now, I believe New York. And I believe, based on the inquiry for Equal, she would need $1,000 as a travel. They included the $15,000.
So does the 15,000 account for like food and her housing and her stay?
Is she speaking or performing? Or?
Sounds like pretty much a little bit of both. Was the inquiry is if she can kind of sing in acoustic, so no band, but it would also be kind of a conversational piece of kind of sharing her experience and just kind of her background. So it would be kind of a duality where she would sing the song as well as actually do a talk throughout the course of the program.
Who have you had in the past few years?
I don't know. I think the only thing that I remember was Michael Sam. Who else?
Sam was Laverne Cox the year before. Michael
Laverne
Sam.
Cox, yeah.
The year before Laverne Cox was. And we have no historical memory. Yeah,
They're very memorable people. Are these all singers?
What's the different one? No,
Sounds
name.
really
Are you going to remember this one in the year?
I think entertainers and athletes previously.
Okay. No writers or?
Michael Sam was the first Oxford Games talks. Michael Sam was the first openly gay athlete in the NFL, so that's part of the reason he came. That he also was really helpful in working with the athletic department and reaching out to them. Laverne Cox is a actress, so she came and gave a talk about her story. So this year with Mary Lambert as a headliner, we're kind of transitioning. Talk's really good, but we figure it's also good to have someone give a performance since it'll be on Wednesday afternoon. That way, people who want to come and give a message have a good opportunity to hear that message. It's also just an entertainment piece, so it's something a little bit more lively, a little bit more fun, especially so close to finals week, just something to take people's minds off, and we're hoping that that will really go over well this year.
fund in full amount.
There's a motion on the table to fund the request in full amount. Is there a second? Dr. Feeney seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? 3 abstentions. Motion passes. Moving on to section 8, new business, supplemental funding request presentation 1729, the mock trial competition in the amount of $500.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Nick George, which is the.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm Nick George. I'm a co-president with the Mock Trial Club, and we're asking for $500 for a supplemental request to fund a competition here this spring. So what is a mock trial? First off, basically it's an imitation of a trial. So each side gets a case, and one side is the defense, one side is the prosecution. And you have a witness, well, multiple, probably 2 or 3, that you put up on the stand, and the prosecution's trying to get the facts out of them, and the defense is trying to block the prosecution from getting that out. And so they use the same rules of evidence that are actually used in courtrooms throughout the country. So it's an actual skill builder for careers after this. So the Mock Trial Club, we're a brand new club, we just formed last quarter. And our purpose, we want to compete in mock trial competitions at a national level, educate members on the law, and improve public speaking and oral advocacy. And we're also committed to community service. We want to help out with the courthouse and people like CASA down at the courthouse. So competing in mock trial competitions, there's a organization called the American Mock Trial Association, and they put on regional and national competitions every year. And we are eligible to join into the regional competition whenever we want. And we're wanting to do that next year. And we have the chance to go on to nationals and compete against schools like UC Berkeley. They're actually in our regional, UC Berkeley, Stanford, schools like that. So it'll be a pretty staunch competition. So here is our idea for the competition. We're going to call it the Wellington Open. So it's going to be down at the Kittitas County Superior Courthouse. We've already met with Judge Sparks, you can see him right there. We've already met with him, and we've gotten a tentative approval to have the courthouse on a Saturday. And teams will actually compete at the actual tables and actual in the courtroom, so it'll have the same feel. And local lawyers and judges, Judge Sparks has actually expressed interest in judging the event as well. So we'll actually probably have a real Superior Court judge there. So benefits to students. So it's going to improve the knowledge of the law and gaining experience speaking in a courtroom setting. And networking. So we're going to be able to meet judges and local lawyers and even people like at a higher level that are heading to law school. Maybe you can start getting ideas off of them on how to apply to law school, things like that. Because it's quite a process. So this event, it may draw interest from other students. We're open to anybody if they wanted to join. And we want to make the club as big as we can so we can field multiple teams, because you can have multiple teams at these competitions. Next year, we will be registering in the national competition, like I said, and it could provide a pretty big reputation boost for Central if we do well against schools like UC Berkeley or Stanford. Our budget justification, so we have to buy the case from the Mock Trial Association. We're going to probably buy last year's case just to get an official case that we can start practicing on. And we need judges' robes, award plaques, some refreshments, some advertisement around campus, and we also need the mock trial rulebook for the judges to follow, and we need some things like that, like the forms that come with it. So here's the price breakdown. So we're at a total cost of $505.21. So we're asking for $500. We're having a movie night fundraiser, and we expect it. We're hoping it's going to make around $50, but we're not sure how much it's actually going to make. And we have about $100 in account right now for the rest of that. So thanks. Any questions from me?
When is this movie night?
It's gonna be in the next 2 weeks. I think it's actually, we have a date yet? Next Tuesday, next week. So, yes.
Is that the ice?
Was it?
Is that the ice?
No, we're actually gonna be screening,
It's Inherit the Wind.
Inherit the Wind, and we're gonna have a panel afterwards with a couple law and justice professors. They're gonna answer some questions about, some cases within the movie and, how they do objections and things like that inside the movie.
I know there's on there the 3 award plaques, which is for the championship team, top attorney, top witness.
Yeah.
The attorney witnesses, those are students who are filling those roles,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So all those would go towards students.
Yeah, all students fill all the roles. They're witnesses, the lawyers. They actually have a timekeeper that a student does. And so yeah, everyone's gonna be a student. That's gonna be.
How many students do you expect to participate in the event?
Well, we have about 25 in the club right now, and we're probably going to draw a couple more in. So probably around 30 is what we're thinking right now.
Are there any further questions for the presenter? Dr. Pickman?
How much of this stuff could you like reuse if you did this again next year?
We can reuse the rule book. We can reuse the judges' robes because we're probably going to do another local competition to get geared up for the next year, for the next season of mock trials. And so yeah, we'll be able to reuse the judges' robes, the rule book, and that's probably it. Yeah.
I have a clarifying question. It says 500 on one and then 900 on one. I think I'm looking at the agenda versus the, never mind, I'm wrong.
Okay.
Are there any further questions?
I did have like a clarified numbers question. It says your total expenses are 505, but your revenue is potentially 550.
Yeah, we're just not sure on what the actual
Oh,
revenue
okay.
will be for that, so we just want to be safe with that. So we understand it is a little bit off, but
Okay, thanks.
we're just not sure.
Are the speakers donating their time?
Yes,
Oh, that's
yes,
nice of
they're
them.
law and justice professors. One of them's an advisor of the group.
Oh, great.
So yeah,
Cool.
they'll be doing.
And is this open to anyone on campus,
Yes.
not just people who are majoring in law?
Yeah, anybody on campus that's interested in doing things like this, because getting into law school, people like philosophy majors, English majors, anybody can go into law school, so we're having it open to everybody.
Any further questions? Thank you. We'll go to the next week.
Thank you.
Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1730, the NCAA softball regionals in the amount of $5,000.
My name is Gary Hyatt. I represent athletics. I'm the associate athletic director there. We're coming today. We put this request in, I think, a week ago or 2 weeks ago when we did this. And at the time, our women's softball team was ranked number 2 in the West region. And so here on Central's campus, students have an opportunity to come to all our events. It's free for them to attend. If we qualify for an NCAA bid to host a tournament, a game, it is required that everyone must pay to go into the event. It's a NCAA requirement that happens. Our softball team at the time was ranked 2nd, which means sort of like if you look at the NCAA basketball terms, they're one of the top 64 teams in the nation, and we would have the opportunity to host 4 teams here for this. This ask right here, which we have done in the last 10 years that I've been here, we've come to this committee and asked for the opportunity for students, the SNA fee to pay for student tickets so they can attend this NCAA event for free, essentially. And so our ask today is for the $5,000, which is a combination of students. I believe you put in for 500 students at $4 a ticket for the 3 days that they have for that. The 5,000 doesn't add up there, but I'm sure Tyler Unsicker is the person who put forward this presentation. So that's going to lead me to all those people that are asking, and that $41,000. We have unfortunately lost our last few games, and we have fallen in the poll to 7th. And so our opportunity to host is probably 99.9% that we're not. And so this ask is probably a futile one, and we will know next Monday exactly our position, but probably not gonna happen now with we had a couple late season losses that really hurt us in the process. But we've always appreciated coming and asking this group for that so that we can have the best home crowd advantage possible for our students for that. So I don't know if part of it, I would let Joey know on Monday whether or not that it's a reality, but it's highly unlikely that will happen now. So, but I appreciate your time, and go Cats. We still won the conference, and we are going to go to the tournament. We're just not going to host.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, any questions? I'm sorry.
Great, thank you. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1731, Mike Venny, in the amount of $996.50.
Oh, here.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna Yesti. I'm the Secretary of Active Minds here at Central. For those of you who don't know, Active Minds is a on-campus club that is striving to reduce the stigma around mental illness. What we do is we just talk about mental illnesses and try to help people on campus become more educated with what mental illnesses are around and what we can do to help prevent them. So we are looking for $996.50 to have Mike Venny come here on May 16th. Mike Venny is a speaker who speaks all over the country, and he experienced several mental illnesses growing up and overcame them, and now strives to help adolescents and college students do the same thing. So yes, he's the founder of Transforming Stigma. He talks about mental health, self-care methods, suicide awareness, and breaking down stigma. And so Active Minds and the Wellness Center is looking to have him come and talk about just those things. So a lot of people question why mental health and mental health awareness is important. And so these are just some statistics we have for you. There are more than 1,000 suicides on college campuses every year. 1 in 4 adults between the ages of 18 and 24 have a diagnosable mental illness. And so obviously that's like a college range generally, and so that's another reason why this is so important for college campuses to focus on. Stigma around mental health allows for people to feel like they do not belong and that they are alone. That's another thing that our club is trying to break down, just the stigma around it, and knowing that getting help is not a weakness. In addition, untreated or ignored mental health issues lead to problems with academic performance and overall well-being. If you have poor mental health, it's really hard to focus on school. A lot of times you'll isolate, not really be involved with things on campus, which is obviously not good.
And just to
Yeah.
interject, I'm Amanda, I'm the president of Active Minds. To give you guys a better figure on that number, so it estimates about 1,000, it's actually 1,200 a year that of college students that commit suicide. So just to give you an exact number there.
And so then to bring it even closer to home from those statistics, these are on campus statistics here at Central. So within the past 12 months, 56% of CWU students felt very sad. Also within the past 12 months, 1/3 of students felt so depressed that it was difficult to function. And once again, that comes into like schoolwork, curricular activities like sports, things like that. In addition to that, also in the past 12 months, more than half of students felt overwhelming anxiety. Of course, not all of these could be classified as a mental illness, but these are symptoms, and they really do a lot of damage to students here at Central. So we're hoping to have Mike Benny come here. The student leader meeting would be a opportunity for individuals that are leaders of certain clubs and things on campus to be invited to have a sit-down dinner with Mike Benny, be able to talk to him, get to know him more, learn about his experience. Then a dinner, and then the public talk is going to be a free event for students at Central and in the surrounding community. And he's going to talk about how to transform mental illnesses, his experience with them, and how it changed his life, as well as kind of more as what he does now. So here's our budget. Amanda, do you want to talk about this one?
So yeah, we have our revenue that's coming from the Wellness Center. We're working with them to host the event, so a lot of our revenue is coming from them, and then we have part of it coming from the recovery grant. So between the dinner and the publicity and then the fee to bring Mike Benny here, it totals up to $5,496, and most of it we can fortunately cover, but we do need almost $1,000 to pull in the rest of that. So, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns? I would also like to point out that it is a single event as far as the talk goes, but it's taking place during the Cast Off Stigma, which both the Wellness Center and Active Minds will have events going throughout the week. So this is just one of like the main primary events that we will be hosting that week.
Yeah, and also in addition to that, it's not just one talk. If you're experiencing a mental illness or symptoms of a mental illness, you don't always have access to individuals who can help you with that, and talks like this really kind of validate your feelings and like let you know that it's okay to be feeling the way you're feeling, and there is help on a college campus where like mental illnesses are so common.
Do you have any idea how many people might attend the talk? You might not know, but
No, I know that at the past event, Active Minds had a table, and at the event Rock Against Rape, and we were advertising it there. We're hoping
there's an advertisement in the library, so we're hoping to get a fair turnout between the college and the community itself. We don't really have a rough estimate on that, but normally I know the Wellness Center's put on a few events like this before, and they usually pull in a fair amount of people. So,
do you work with Comprehensive as well for publicity?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. What's the size of the venue? Like, what's the capacity of the venue?
It's the Wellington Event Center. I don't know exactly how many.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the capacity is on that.
I have a general idea of what it is.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you said this already, but are you guys classified as like club or how?
So we're a chapter here on Central, but we are associated with the National Organization of Active Minds. So we work a lot with the national organization. We go to the national conference, but we also work a lot with the Wellness Center and the Clinical Counseling Center and stuff here, specifically on Central, to help Central students and to bring awareness to what's going on in our community and on our campus.
Are there any further questions? Thank you. We'll be voting on the section.
Thank you.
Yeah, moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1723, the Top Cats, in the amount of $191,999.50.
So I'm Brittany. You guys don't already know. I hope you know. I work with student government, and we were thinking of a way to. I should just hold like that. Hold on, let me find it. So again, I'm Brittany. I work with student government, and student government was thinking of a way to recognize students in an all-encompassing way, I would say. I know there's the evening of recognition, but one dean picks one student, the dean picks another student, and it doesn't kind of encompass a lot more students in a wide range, I would say. So we came up with Top Cats. We stole it from UW. They do the Husky 100, and it's extremely successful there. Every year they recognize 100 students all around, like for academics and leadership and community service. And so students apply, and then there's a committee that picks, for us it'd be top 25 students. And so this spring we are implementing Top Cats. We're gonna pick 25 students. We launched this application yesterday. So we've already had 10 students apply. It pretty much is like name, campus, because it's gonna be everyone who goes to Central, West Side, online. And then it has resume, cover letter, awards, and then it has open-ended questions, so you can put whatever you feel would make you stand out and what makes you feel like you have excelled here at Central. And so what we are requesting from SNA is pretty much for the reception for the 25 students to have awards that they could take home, and then also for the food for the event. On May 23rd is when we are going to have the recognition dinner at Gaudino's house. And I think there's going to be around 100 people, 25 faculty, 25 students, and then each student can bring two guests. So around 100 people. And I'm really excited about it. I think students are excited about it. And yeah, questions. Better at questions. Yeah.
Is there a nomination process, or is it just students apply?
Kind of both. So if students hear about it, they can apply. But yesterday I sent an email to like everyone, and so hopefully like the professors will reach out to students, and then they'll hopefully apply then. So it's kind of both, kind of word of mouth. But yeah, if you haven't gotten an email, hopefully soon.
Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean I didn't get it.
Sounds good. Any other? Yes.
Is this intended to be an annual thing, hopefully?
Yes. So UW does it every year, and they nominate, I think, winter, and so they select, and so then the 100 students go to like recruiting events, and they get to network, and they have a lot more engagement. And so I'm hoping in the future that 25, 50, it keeps growing, these students get selected, and then they have those opportunities to network and recruit and celebrate their achievements. Yeah.
So could students nominate other students?
For
too?
sure.
Okay.
I nominate all you guys. Oh, and the committee is made up of circ departments, college departments, athletics, the dean's office, hopefully someone from the president's office. We're expecting around 10 people on the committee, 10 to 15.
It's May 23rd, you said?
Yes.
So if the entire student population just applies en masse tomorrow, you have a
Fingers
committee
crossed.
who's going to do that? Going
Oh,
to go
yeah.
through everyone's file?
We have
Because this is not nomination based. This is anyone can apply and
Yeah. Super
nominate
cool.
themselves.
Yes.
So good luck with that.
We're hoping to have lots of people, and maybe then we could grow with it and maybe do 50 and only one guest, but
No, I'm just talking about the applicants themselves.
Screening.
How many do you think
Oh.
you're going to have? How many people
I'm
go to
hoping
this
for
school?
50. Fingers crossed for 50, but we have a point-based rubric, and so it has like leadership. It's very like open-ended. We haven't finalized that part yet.
I mean, literally, maybe I misunderstood. How many people can actually apply for this? And how many students?
11,000.
How many?
11,000.
11,000. So you're going to go
11,000.
through 11,000 in the next 2 weeks?
I would, yes.
With 25
If it
people?
came down to that, I would do it.
Okay.
Probably open it up to broader than 25, but
Yeah.
I would
Have fun.
definitely put in the work. Any other? Yes. Oh, either one though.
Andre.
just to kind of help with that. So one of the reasons why we had it embedded into the website is because it'll help us when we go through the algorithm of being able to collect all the information. So like you said, there's a couple filters. So when they report the GPA and they report different levels of activities, we can then filter and say, okay, here are all the students who are applying.
Okay, so it'll take like 3.7 off.
It'll help.
Gotcha.
I hope that helps. You know,
Okay,
kind
no,
of-
I was just curious, I thought.
I think I'm on the.
If we had job applications.
Andre doesn't wanna go through 11,000
Oh my
apps.
God.
Now you're making Andre panic.
Oh man, what was my question? Oh yeah, is it just undergraduates or grad students allowed?
Any student enrolled in at least one credit. It's pretty open. We're hoping everyone applies.
You are?
I am.
She is
He
right
may
now.
not be, but
Yeah, you say that.
yeah.
So, what kind of work experience are you looking for there?
So for me, I would put student government, I would put Summit at Snoqualmie, pretty much anything that puts me, I don't know, like I would say has made me, I can't think of the word, but like anything that has like school related work, community related work, anything really, just like, I can't talk.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking that for a lot of students that need to work
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 jobs means you have very limited time for those other categories.
Yeah, and
How you weight those would have a big influence on.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the questions that we're still thinking about in the criteria, because if you live in Yakima, you're going to be driving, so you won't be in Ellensburg, so you can't necessarily do on-campus things at night if you're always driving back and forth. So we are taking like those things into consideration.
Okay,
Yeah.
What's leadership experience?
Student government or a position in a club.
Are you
club
exempt from this?
member. Definitely.
Are the
Definitely.
student government people exempt from this?
Yes.
Okay.
What if I nominate you?
Give you the
She
thumbs
can
up.
decline.
I'll be at the reception hopefully.
It's a good
So
question.
you couldn't list student government
That's
because
a
you're
good
not allowed to
question.
go in for it anyway.
Yeah, but there's people who work in student government, there's clubs, there's SAS, there's ESC, there's RHA. It's lots of different things on campus that could go into leadership. Or within your job. Anything really. Anything else? Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1733, the trombone shorty in the amount of $24,999. Every time.
I'm Jenna and Associate Dean of Student Success, and I yield a lot more to Andre with this presentation, but I was here about 5 weeks ago maybe, and had mentioned that there were some commitments made that we were struggling with, because there wasn't funding from my predecessor, and so this is one that's surfaced, and we're in that same predicament situation. Trombone shorties coming May 20th. There were commitments made, and the ship had sailed and everything was going, and then we came upon to work this through. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that with the proposal.
Yeah. So to give you some context, it sounds like, and I say it sounds like, forgive me because it's vague in terms of like Jenna explained, we kind of came in and there are several programs that we're kind of committed to, and it was just kind of like, okay, here you go. It's kind of dropped in your lap, and realistically, we're getting to problem solving mode. How can we solve this problem if we can, in all honesty, and be able to support these budgets? So it sounds like last summer there was dialogue with the previous director of campus activities and the previous associate dean working with the music department in preparation for their jazz festival that's taking place the weekend of the 20th of May. And part of that dialogue was, hey, it would be really great to have Trombone Shorty serve as the headliner for the Jazz Music Festival. And I believe from that conversation spawned the interest initially in inquiring to see if he's even available and if it would work. Somewhere between June and February, literally, the ball was dropped in communication between the student success side and the music department. What had taken place is music department said, okay, hey, yeah, they're still doing the festival, but they had it already essentially kind of confirmed another main act. And from there, around late January, early February, Trombone Shorty was confirmed via email saying that, hey, yes, Central is still interested in having him on this date. And from that correspondence literally led to, okay, we are legally bound, because there was an agreement of we will pay for these services rendered through our contracts and procurement. And so the provost had to execute that contract and say, okay, hey, it would be much better in our interest to have them come to campus and for us to still be able to collaborate with music in one respect or another, and for us to be able to execute this contract than it would be to employ our attorney general, or not attorney general, but our CWU attorney to go after and fight the contract legally. So with that being said, middle of February, I then went over and had a conversation after the previous director of campus activities retired and our associate dean. Things were kind of transpiring, to go sit with Todd, director of the music department, and say, okay, hey, looks like we're bringing Trombone Shorty in on May 20th. What is the level of commitment that we're going to get from the music department, and what's going on, and what was part of some of those dialogues? And essentially, where we are is, as we sit right now, there's about close to 400 tickets that have been confirmed or sold, essentially. And I say confirmed meaning 100 of those tickets were given to the music department for their students. So their students will still attend the festival. He's performing after. He's still going to be the unofficial headliner, because they're going to be done with their programming and they're all still going to come over and participate and see Trombone Shorty. And then also he's willing to do kind of during his mic check, he's allowing for students who are part of the trombone club and the music department to come by and be a part of that and do kind of an interactive session where he'll kind of, it may not be the best term, but the only thing that comes to mind is a jam session. If he's going to do a jam session / interactive open mic check, so that the students will be able to be a part of that process. Now, much outside of that, that is the context in which we have. As you can see, by nature of how things are kind of orientated in terms of within our area, it's one of those things that if there's something that if there's a commitment that's not made that we haven't been able to find additional support for, it's kind of just falling on campus life and student involvement. And so because campus activities falls under student involvement, and the previous director of campus activities is the person who actually sent basically made the confirmation for Trombone Shorty, it's kind of one of those things where it's just falling on us, and I say us because I'm getting overwhelming support from everyone to see the commitment through. And so essentially what we have here is, it's the end of the quadrennial. Most folks have already allocated what their funds are in terms of forecasting. We're working diligently with Lacey every day to kind of see where we stand and many of these capacities. And so all that campus life and student involvement can legitimately put toward Trombone Shorty is $40,000. And so, that's just, being completely transparent. I don't want that to be a swing factor at all, in which, we're asking for you to kind of save the day per se, but I do want to make sure that I'm as transparent as possible.
And with that, we understand that what this could mean is that we'll start the next year in the hole from the estimating with these budgets, and we're going to do that. We'll definitely do that, and there'll be things we will adjust, the decisions we'll need to make in the future. This wouldn't have been one that we would have done, not with the amount of the full program, which was roughly about.
Yeah, close to it. You guys are seeing there.
We would never have done this, but it's done, and we're making it work to the best of our ability. But we understand we need to start the year in deficit.
What happened in January? Can you just talk me through that?
Well, so in January, there was still kind of, what you had was, and I was a part of one conversation in which I expressed, there's no money in campus life to do it. What you pretty much have, and forgive me, give me one moment, let me make sure that
Well, there's a couple of things. I say something?
Yeah, yes.
One of the person in my position before me was working out of a separate budget and making decisions out of that budget. And it's depleted, and it was overcommitted completely. And so when I took over the position, what we realized was, yeah, there's no funds here, we can't do this, right? What are we gonna do? And like Andre said, everything kind of ends up rolling up under campus life, campus activities, student involvement. And so it was like, okay, how are we gonna manage this? And then I came to you all about 5 weeks ago. It was the exact same problem. We were dealing with the verbal commitment to ESC for all of those grad dinners. Do you remember that? It was the exact same thing in that setting, and we knew this one was coming up, but we were trying to do our best to, with forecasting and what's happening with the cap plans, to see where we are, what are our actuals, what's going to hit, how much of this can we absorb or not, before we would even have to come back here.
And just to clarify though, the difference between this and the graduation dinners is this is a contractual piece because of the email that was sent.
I'm just curious about the previous person. What happened there?
Well, the challenge that you run into, and I want to make sure that I really let you know that the folks that we have had working and serving the university for many years, we love them dearly and respect them dearly. I can speak to this project. I don't think that the proper forecasting, and I don't think that the proper understanding of, everything from the communication with the music department in terms of, hey, have you already committed to your person? Because they have a person who's coming who's probably about the same price as Trombone Shorty. And so I think there were some miscommunications that literally led to a decision that probably shouldn't have been made. And in one respect or another, without, for me, without with us, right, without condemning anyone who's held these roles. It's literally one of those things where we're coming in and saying, okay, hey, well, this decision was made. Okay, the decision was made, and okay, here you go. And so because campus activities falls under student involvement and campus life, it's one of those things now where it turned from just an inquiry to maybe, yeah, that sounds great, to no, you sent this email.
So that's what happened in January, the email that was sent?
Pretty much, the end of January, there was.
Who sent the email?
Well, it's been sent, so, yeah.
Was this a poison pill on the way out or what?
Wait,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know
I think it was well intended, and thinking the forecast of this would be what students want.
Did this person leave of their own volition?
We were
I think we're getting too far down that now.
Yeah, we can't go into HR matters anymore.
I know, I'm just kind of just looking for some background.
So you said that there's tickets. Will there be a charge for
Yeah,
the tickets?
so all student tickets are free.
Okay.
And so there's a small revenue source, of course, coming from, the public who will buy tickets. And I think that we charge them $15 for the tickets. And I don't know the exact count for what those public tickets are. Overwhelmingly, we want the students to be able to benefit from it because it is coming from SNA money. And so the challenge is exactly that. Hey, here's a circumstance that we want to make sure we can get through, get it done, and then from there be able to make sure that it's appropriately communicated, of course, within our team and more so university-wide, which is what the steps that the dean has been taking, the steps that the associate dean has been taking to make sure that, hey, we're communicating what's going on. Let's make sure that we're diligent about what commitments we're making sure that we're not sending emails that can be perceived legally that the university would like to request this person for this date, for this dollar amount that has us legally binding for those services being rendered.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if maybe you can't answer this. Can you tell us what the alternative is if these funds can't be?
We'll start with the deficit.
If we can't grant you these funds, then do you then try and break the contract through legal action? Or
No. Like the associate dean was saying, Dr. Hyatt was saying, essentially, if we don't secure the funds, the campus life student involvement budget,
it starts at a deficit, and that means that next year there's fewer services.
It's Trombone Shorty's coming.
He's coming.
Yeah,
and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
We're going to sell tickets to shorten the.
I understand.
And I haven't been involved in the contracting or legal part of this at all, but generally the state of Washington settles out of court because it's cheaper. So we would be paying, my guess is, and I don't know, but if we tried to get out of the contract, we're still gonna be paying something and get no trombone charge,
yeah.
right? So it's like,
Yes. That is accurate.
Has the music department paid for any of this funding?
No.
Okay.
and
Yeah, we don't intend, at this point, there's no intention. We've had a couple conversations trying to figure out who can support in what different areas, but realistically, we're here where we don't intend anyone else being able to support this at all. And we'll just take pretty much what we have within the student involvement budget and max that, and then whatever goes to the deficit goes to the deficit if we don't get support.
Are there any further questions from the presenters? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week. Moving on to section 9, communications received. I've not received any communications this week. All right, moving on to public comment, second call. Is there any public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving on to section 11, adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Trey moves. Is there a second? Brady seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting is adjourned at 6:25 p.m.